All right. So we're live. We are live again. We're live. I was hoping that obviously we could have done this in one take, but that is not the case. Hey Johnson, how you doing? Um, but something came up and it kind of threw the morning into a little bit of a but it was unexpected. So yeah. Hopefully everyone joining us will oh, thanks, Sandalova. Oh, Sandalova, haha. Awesome. um, let's see here. Johnson asks, "You want to do a Let's Play of Assassin's Creed Origin?" Assassin's Creed Origins. Sorry, sorry. Hey, Martin. Oh, thanks, Dark Road Run. Thank, appreciate that. So, now that we've got about 20 people watching, I guess I let's explain what this is. Some of you who are joining might have been here for my earlier live stream. The whole idea behind this was going to be a set live stream discussion where I read this article and we would discuss the article live, and we got all the way up to it's too bright to show you guys on the like right up to here where it says Uber's uh intelligence agency for the from the article that I have linked to below. That's how where we got to when I got a text from Katie and oh, thanks Johnson. That for the record folks, she was in an accident a few days ago, 4 days ago. Not a big one, thankfully. And she's fine. She's fine. No one got hurt. There's been no hospital. The car does need to be fixed, though. The bumper needs to be replaced, and I'm not saying for this to solicit donations. Obviously, we have insurance, but the insurance company that she has, what that we didn't, I hadn't quite transferred her over to mine yet. We were that was one of the things we were working on. Well, she still has insurance with someone else, and this happened, and my concerns about them were accurate. They're not really helping the situation. So I was on the phone with various insurance companies and a couple lawyers, and we're hopefully fault. So she shouldn't have to pay money, but yeah, that's what happened to me. Had to go deal with that. And that was not fun, bro. You should fix a car yourself. Save at least like 2,000. No, I trust me. I can't fix this car. The damage was we're talking about like replacing the whole bumper at least. So yeah, that's just that's not gonna happen. But yeah, so that now we are going to continue this little reading the article and discussion. And just to go over the rules again, uh you can read along. The article link is below, and and you can start at the point where it says Uber's intelligence agency. And I kind of skimmed the article, but this is a long one. So we'll see if we actually finish it for this live stream. And we will just discuss the article. And we had just left off where the courts, the reason all of this stuff with Uber surveillance, or Uber Uber surveillance went became public. See, the afternoon's still stressing me a little bit, but so I'm hoping this will unstress me. Uber surveillance came into light through the Waymo lawsuit, and of course, I asked whether or not you feel Uber would have admitted this or discontinued the programs if it didn't come up. And a lot of you said no, that's Uber would not have come forward with this if it didn't come up with the oh, hey, Callie. How you doing? Callie used to go to church with me, folks. So it's always fun to see an old friend there. Um, but we're going to continue the article. And for the record, because a few people have asked, no, Uber has not died officially. They're still operational, but they're on death's door. And I felt this way for about a week, and I still feel this way. And that's one of the reasons we're because of stuff like this. So um anyway, continue on this article with Gizmondo under Uber's intelligence agency. Mm. The mark the marketplace analytics team traces its roots to a previous group within Uber that was known as Competitive Intelligence, or COIN. COIN also set up non-attributable servers to store information on competitors and oversaw Hell, a program Uber used to track the location of Lyft drivers and offer them deals to switch to Uber. By scrapping data from Lyft's app, Uber is able to collect driver ID numbers and therefore track Lyft driver locations. The existence of Hell and Coin's role in deploying it were first reported in April by The Information. And for those of you who've been watching my channel for a while, you are obviously aware that I have done videos on that, and I actually had kind of had breakdowns really at how that Uber was looking at my phone that way, and I was pretty furious. And of course, um, in fact, you guys can probably confirm, but if you drove Lyft a lot, you all of a sudden started getting offers from Uber, like these really good promotional offers. And if you drive for Uber all the time, you didn't get anything. That's just how Uber was. So, continuing the article, Coin used an Amazon server that, according to domain records, was registered by an engineer at Uber in March 2015 using his personal address and phone number. I'm gonna, yeah, I'm gonna pause right there and just to let you know that yeah, Uber really did not want people to know they were doing this. That is why, they had a employee sign up for the server, not as the company. The secret server used by Coin was shut down in late 2016, sources said, and the team began to develop new, more tightly held infrastructure under a new code name. And that seems to be a recurring theme with Uber and this data. And this is why some people don't trust Uber when they say, oh, we don't do this anymore, because Uber actually has a history of collecting information under this. They do it for a little while, and then they get rid of it, and then change um they change their tactics basically to keep themselves from being caught. And while at the moment we don't have a lot of reason to suspect that the current CEO is lying to us, because he's been way more honest about this stuff than I ever expected him to be, we don't have a lot of reason to suspect that he's completely gotten rid of this either. Continuing. As the Coin team grew, it was merged into Marketplace Analytics, a small team of about a dozen software engineers and data scientists made up the Marketplace Analytics team, while its non-technical siblings, the Strategic Services Group, was staffed by several former government employees. The Marketplace Analytics team began to focus its efforts exclusively on overseas competitors and abandoned its investigations of Lyft in late 2015, two sources said. Lyft declined to comment on whether it was aware of Uber's intelligence collection efforts or whether it had conducted similar data gathering against Uber, which that is an interesting comment. So now this is where the discussion becomes, between you and me. And hey, Music City Driver, I didn't see you were there. So that's something that I don't think we ever quite asked before, any of us really. But do any of you guys think Lyft did similar spying on Uber? Because I mean, people say that Lyft is just as bad as Uber. Do you think Lyft was spying on the Uber drivers as well? I mean, it's an interesting question because I know there's been a couple weeks, it's not often, but a couple weeks, I get a random text from Lyft. "Oh, hey, thanks, Music City Driver, and hey, enjoy your birthday with your son." Um, we still gotta do a video sometime together. But I have gotten offers from Lyft like, "Hey, if you drive 40 rides this week, you will get a bonus $150 or bonus $200." And what's interesting about that is that when it comes to, like, the quest for the Uber, um, 40 is about the maximum I'm willing to do over the weekend. It really is. I mean, I've tried for 60 in the past, and I think I hit it once. It's really far enough out there that it's not worth it for me. So I always tend to end at 40 or 20. And so there have been a few times where Lyft offered me, for 40 rides, you get $100. Now, granted, their offer was a lot higher than Uber. So I've wondered. Johnson Long said Lyft probably didn't spy on Uber because there's no point. They need more drivers back in the days. Um, but if they needed more drivers back in the day, wouldn't that give them an incentive to spy on the Uber drivers and try to coerce them to jump ship from Uber and join Lyft? That's what I'm thinking. So, anyone else have any thoughts on Lyft potentially spying on Uber? I mean, there's been no reports of it. Should be noted. There's been no reports of Johnson said, "Oh, okay, that makes sense." Yeah. So it's like I mean, I personally Romeo live again. Yep, live again. We're we're doing it live. So, but my personal opinion is that Lyft probably didn't spy on Uber. They don't have the infrastructure plus Lyft. And here's the thing: I know people say Lyft is worse or just as bad, and I will admit Lyft's deactivation policy is a lot more brutal than Uber's. But there's probably a reason Uber's keeps getting all this snowball of bad press and Lyft is not. Lyft is probably going out of their way to not do anything wrong to the point where they're always constantly aping Uber. So we are Rider says Lyft needs to spy my area. Lyft is dead here. Well, that's you know, can't help that. All right. Well, since Juan C. Cavero says, I'm tired of ride sharing in general. I just will do it when I don't have anything to do. Well, that's fair. That's fair. That's one of the things. Any job will get boring after a while. And this is definitely a job. Um, some people say it's not a very good job, and well, that's their opinion, but it is a job. So, uh, and yeah, it gets tedious. But hey, at least you can walk away from it. At least you can choose not to do it for a little while. All right, let's continue the article. Um, market. Wow, my lips are really chapped. Marketplace Analytics conducted extensive surveillance of several of Uber's overseas competitors, including Ola, a major ride-hailing platform in India, and Didi Chuxing, Uber's one-time rival in China that bought out um, Uber's business in the country. Oh, Katie sent me a text. Let me make sure that's not something to do with the insurance. Oh, okay, good. Let's see here. A Didi spokesperson declined to comment on Uber's data collective practices or its own competitive intelligence efforts. A spokesperson for Ola did not respond to requests for comment. Okay. Um, Johnson hey, can you please talk about Taxify? I'll talk about Taxify in a future video. I've actually been having a Taxify video brewing in my mind that I'm trying. I will make it eventually, though. Marketplace Analytics focused on gathering competitor data online, while SSG hired contractors to travel overseas and glean information about threat groups and other companies in person. In at least one instance, obtaining a surreptitious recording of a conversation between executives at Grab and Didi Chuxing, according to court testimony from Uber employee. Wow, they recorded that? Wow. The team stored the information it collected about competitors on its more secure server, detached from Uber's corporate infrastructure and kept hidden from most of the employees' companies, two sources said. Members of the Okay, so I'm gonna comment on that. Hi, honey. You know they're gonna make fun of me for that one, right? So, gotta love that girl. But in this part of the article, we see that yes, the tradition continues. Uber has separate servers away from corporate because, and they have those servers. I bet you they have those servers because they want to store sensitive information on there, and they don't want, in case Uber gets hacked, it's not on the servers connected to the company. I think this is actually like the first time I've actually heard some sort of confirmation that that Uber has separate servers and that some of them are kept separate from the company, and that makes sense. That makes sense. If you're doing shady stuff, you probably don't, you probably want like some sort of safe, if you will, to prevent other people from seeing it. Um, Continuing, members of the marketplace analytics team were issued new computers to access the server and were expected to use them only for competitive intelligence work, so that no data on the services could be formally traced back to Uber. They also used the encrypted ephemeral messaging app Wicker to communicate with each other. Again, oh yeah, I love that dot 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 dot. It's like dun dun dun. Not that this is exactly news. According to sources, the server needed to remain invisible to hackers and competitors. Even if Uber's own systems were hacked, the company wanted to make sure that this system remained hidden. So, yeah, pretty much there. Okay, there it is. Even if the company got hacked, they wanted this information to remain hidden. That speaks of volumes. Uh, in addition to being issued non-attributable laptops that couldn't be traced back to the company, employees also had access to prepaid phones and MiFi wireless internet services, not Wi-Fi, MiFi, MI-FI. If you want to know what MiFi is, Bing it or Google it. I'm not a corporate shell. I don't care which one you use. The secretive nature of marketplace analytics and SSG has raised suspicions in the Waymo case and in the offices of the U.S. Attorney in both the Northern District of California and the Southern District of New York. But sources said the marketplace analytics and SSG teams felt secrecy was necessary to protect the company from hackers, as well as competitors who were engaged in the same kinds of intelligence collection Uber was doing. One person said there was an overwhelming sense of distrust that pervaded their work and that team members were on the lookout for threats. So, okay, DuckDuckGo it. Yes, you can search stuff on DuckDuckGo. Now let's go back to um, the discussion. So we now are at the part where it's like the servers are obviously being used to store secretive information that they don't want anyone to find, even their own employees, or if they got hacked. And their reasoning is they felt secrecy was necessary to protect the company from hackers and to protect them from people doing the same intelligent gathering, which you know what, there might be some truth. I'm sure there's other companies who try to collect information, but very few of them get caught. So my question is, do you think these extra security systems were just for security purposes? Do you think it was just for security purposes? We just want to make sure the information is safe. We don't. You don't want this to get out. That's all. That's the only reason it's there. It's not like there's anything in there that can hurt anyone. And anyone have an opinion on that? No. Hmm. Dropped a few. Dropped a few viewers. Well, the viewers are going away fast. I guess no one has anything to say about that. Well, anyway, I'm going to continue anyway because we need to get through this admittingly long article. But continuing. In court, Jacobs testified that Uber used its non-attributable services to surveil protesters and other groups Uber considered a threat, so those groups wouldn't be able to trace them back to Uber. Yep, that sounds about right. That sounds about right. Johnson Long says if they said just for security purposes, that means it's probably not. Yeah, that's definitely good to that's a good theory to go on. Continuing. Although paranoia pervaded the marketplace analytics and SSG teams, it wasn't entirely unwarranted. Employees need to be warned about protests outside Uber offices, and drivers sometimes needed to be protected from violence in new markets, a fourth source explained. In one extreme instance, last December, SSG discovered a WhatsApp group in which an individual threatened to attend an event Uber's former CEO, Travis Kalanick, was attending in India and set themselves on fire. Uh, yeah, okay. I'm gonna get on that one for a second because I did a video with Drive Girl Drive on this very topic. If that is one of the reasons they're doing this, then they're doing a very terrible job at protecting the drivers because they are not good at communicating with drivers when there's a disaster. They are not good at shutting off surge during emergencies. Let's see here. The protests outside Uber offices. Well, if you work at the Uber office or you're driving to work, you can see the protesters. You can take the appropriate action necessary to get around the protesters. Not that difficult. So this thing that they're collecting this information for safety reasons. You know what? I would believe it if it actually worked. If it actually worked, I would be more than happy for it, but it's not. It just is not, and it doesn't get used for that. So, what do you folks think? Do you ever sense that Uber has ever had your safety in in mind? Uber is stupid. They don't understand that drivers, like riders, are all customers. Well, they've stated that drivers are customers. They're just not treating them like customers. Um, let's see here. Continuing, Marketplace Analytics used its clandestine setup to scrap data from competitors' websites, GitHub accounts, Pastebin posts, and APIs to gather information about how they operated. That data was siloed away from Uber's network, analyzed, and fed to various teams within Uber to help them gain an edge on their competition. Two from sources familiar with marketplace analytics explained. And there you have it, right there. They were analyzing these. They were analyzing emergencies and special events to gain a competitive advantage. And nothing to do with safety. Nothing to do with safety whatsoever. Continuing. Marketplace Analytics also focused its tactic on Uber itself in an effort to detect vulnerabilities and understand how feasible it would be for competitors to collect intelligence on Uber using web monitoring techniques to scour the internet for leaks. This work led to an incident that Jacobs described as theft of a competitor's proprietary code. I love doing this live. Quote, there was a discussion around the acquisition of data from about a rival firm overseas that had been a success. Jacobs testified in court, noting Market MA's efforts to find private code accidentally posted to public GitHub accounts. Those efforts, he said, yielded, quote, a way to understand more about how rival platforms function by finding sort of spilled data, so to speak, on the internet, unquote. However, one source familiar with Mark MA's downplayed the incident, explaining that an employee for a European competitor, Get, posted proprietary code on GitHub and the marketplace analytics team merely looked at it. Yeah, that's that's examining it to a certain extent. That's reading it. Get did not respond to a request for comment about the incident. Uber scrapped pricing information from competitors' websites and apps and used a technique called eyeballing to gather vehicle location data from apps. In some instances, as was the case with Hell, Uber was able to connect unique ID numbers companies use to identify their drivers and use that data to track them. Uber supplemented the data it collected with other information purchased from data brokers. So it's not bad enough that they were mining your data. It's not bad enough they were spying on you. They were buying your information from other companies. Granted, I do use MoviePass, and I know that one of the things that MoviePass sells my information to other companies, and Uber is one of those companies. So maybe I'm contributing to the problem. I don't know, but that's that is just so wrong. I mean, here I thought Google was the big brother in all of this. Google's the one that, is reading your emails and, checking out your search engines. Heck, Netflix freaked a lot of people out where they made this movie called A Christmas Prince, and apparently it's not very good. But they called out um 53 people on Twitter who'd been watching it every day. And it's like, I mean, it's kind of creepy that they would acknowledge that they knew how much people were watching this movie and that they were doing it every day. That's yeah, I don't know. That's always like a weird little thing. So, quote, if continuing end quote, if an app has rudimentary function overseas, especially when it's first launched, a rider can simply pull up their app, request a ride, and as soon as they request a ride, it identifies a driver, their name, or phone number. Any rider, anybody who has an email address could register and get that data about drivers, Jacobs explained in court. Whoa. Uber then used machine learning to analyze this wealth of information in an attempt to discover how many trips competitors were making, which would reveal the market share dominated by the competitor. The data was also used to infer how much cash its competitors were burning on driver promotions. Ride hailing companies regularly spent millions to increase their market share by just a few percentage points, one source explained. And scrapped data helped inform how that money should be spent. The collection was sanctioned by in house lawyers at Uber. Whoa. Their own lawyers agreed to this. That's amazing. That is absolutely amazing that the lawyers actually told them to do this and let them. Wow. Hi, Roger. Welcome to the discussion. Happy to be here. So, if anyone's been paying attention to this, this part of the discussion is what do you feel about Uber's lawyers actually not only agreeing to let Uber spy on these apps and you through the apps, what do you think about them suggesting it? That wow, that's crazy. That is absolutely crazy that the lawyers were involved in this. That mm. Gotta love live streaming. So um did I go too far? Yep. So let's continue this. The collection was sanctioned by in-house lawyers at Uber, who designated documents reviewed by Gizmodo, sorry, that outlined MA's techniques as attorney-client privileged. Oh, really? Attorney-client privilege. I'm pretty sure that only works if the client knows there's a discussion going on in the first place. Uber's competitive intelligence teams were also egged on by then CEO Travis Kalanick's example. SFJ threat analyst Ed Russo testified in November that he used Kalanick's secretive meetings with Anthony Lewandowski. Well, there's a name I haven't heard in a while. A former Waymo employee accused of stealing trade secrets and bringing them to Uber as an example of successful tradecraft during a staff meeting with security employee. Oh, boom! Drop microphone. Drop microphone. There it is. There it is. It's written right there. Travis Kalanick actually used Anthony Lewandowski stealing Waymo's trade secrets as an example of what to do with the company. He used it as the example for what to do. What to do. Amazing. Absolutely amazing. Like, I knew it. I knew it. I knew that. All of this talk where Kalanick was like, "Oh no, 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 no." I instructed him not to use any information he got from Google. No, no. I encouraged him. I told him it was forbidden to be used in the technology. Then he goes to the company. He's like, "Hey guys, guess what? This guy, he got us some great stuff, and he stole it. And we're gonna go over this. This is how you need to do it. This is how you need to do it." Like, wow, just absolutely amazing. I don't care how much of the company he owns. He should be gone. Uh, where am I? Um, let's see. Oh yeah. So the so the so Jacobs continued. I then said words to the effect that, if our CEO is willing to go to these kinds of lengths to help protect information while he's trying to negotiate a deal, what does that say about the contributions we can make in protecting information? Unquote. But internal support for their competitive intelligence efforts has waned. In August, Uber announced a new policy governing the collection of competitive intelligence. So, yeah, that's this is where we're starting to come into present day. Uber's new legal chief officer, Tony West, warned employees this month that any ongoing physical surveillance efforts had to end, and that the company's current CEO, Dara Kay, publicly announced that Uber employees had been directed to stop using Wicker as of September 27th. Okay, we're getting back into Dara. Dara's back now officially in this conversation. Quote, my understanding is that this behavior no longer occurs at Uber, that this truly is a remnant of the past. But to be crystal clear, to the extent anyone is working on any kind of competitive intelligence projects that involves the surveillance of individuals, stop it now. So hi Gary. So we're gonna pause again at this point in the story. Johnson, my name's Kevin. And so Dara has come in, supposedly, and has supposedly saw that this was going on and he put an end to it. In fact, let's take a break. Let's see here. When did Dara Kay become Uber CEO? Wow, that didn't work. Let's see here. So, okay, I just looked it up real quick. Dara became the CEO, um, like well, around September. Let's see here. Dara. Let me just let me find that search. Yep, he became CEO in September, and so by September 27th, he sent out this email that states, "If you're using any surveillance stuff, you need to stop it now. We do not do this anymore." So it sounds like one of the first things he did, aside from going to London to try to negotiate keeping the license to operate over there was to put this spying to an end. And then he ordered the investigation about the data breach when he found out about it. And now recently he's been telling people what's been going on with the company and he's been trying to be upfront about it. And that is important to why I kind of believe Uber is kind of on its deathbed because, well, I'll tell that. I'm still saving that for the final part. But Derek has come in, and it's pretty clear that this stuff has been going on, and he's the one that puts an end to this. He is the one who puts an end to the surveillance. So let's continue. West's messages emphasize individual surveillance, but Jacob seemed more concerned with the digital mass surveillance Uber conducted. Quote, I suppose because of my personal metrics, it felt overly aggressive and invasive and inappropriate. He testified in November. Although the team's secret server system has been widely criticized, compartmentalizing sensitive data in order to secure it isn't an unusual practice in cybersecurity. In the broader tech industry or in government, for instance, the National Institute of Standards and Technology recommends compartmentalizing sensitive data for all federal computer systems. So that's something that we should take into account. It is recommended that companies do this, have their own separate servers that are more difficult to hack. Continuing. Uber's web monitoring and scrapping didn't seem unusual to employees either, 3 sources said, and they believed it was common throughout the industry because they often caught competitors scrapping data from Uber services. Uber considers this kind of behavior abusive and tries to block it from happening on its own apps, but it doesn't regularly pursue legal action against its scrappers. So, that's a little ironic, isn't it? That Uber does not like it when it's done to them, but they are totally fine doing it to other people. Is that kind of the situation where it's like, I like bullying you, I just don't want to be bullied myself? No. Continuing. Scrappers and other parts of the tech industry often operate in a legally gray area. The data startup HiQ recently sued LinkedIn after LinkedIn alleged that HiQ's scrapping of user profiles violated the Computer Fraud and Abuse Act. A federal judge ruled in August that HiQ's activity didn't violate the anti-hacking law, and it's possible that Uber's web monitoring would be similarly protected, which, I don't know. So I have had a discussion about this with someone who also believes this is a legal gray area. And he believes that it's not illegal, that it's certainly unethical because you are using information that that you have knowledge about that the other person does not. Hence, like example, you know how their business works and you knows what kind of customers they get. They just don't know who your customers are. And by knowing that, you know who to sell to. Which, yeah, I don't know. I guess it's not illegal to know that. But how do you know that? That could be the question. That should be the question. So, continuing, quote, using automated scripts to assess publicly available data is not hacking and neither is violating a website's terms of use. Jamie Williams, the staff attorney at the Electronic Frontier Foundation, wrote in defense of HiQ. Still, MA and SSG members are being dragged into depositions from the Waymo litigation and being questioned about Jacob's letters, experiences that have left them worried about their own legal exposure. As it should. As it should. I do believe that this is the thing that this is probably going to be the real long-term result of the Waymo and Uber lawsuit. Is I think this is going to expose some real light into the looking at information that other companies have on you, using certain apps to conceal that you're looking at this information and what you're doing with that information after you found it out. So, okay, Katie. So, still dealing with Katie and her car accident thing. So, like, if I have to stop and read her text, that's what it is. Continuing the article, the blowback has also hit Wicker, the encrypted messaging service used by Uber. Two sources explained Uber was drawn to the app for its security features, which could help Uber avoid an embarrassing data breach like in the 2004 Sony hack. Wicker CEO Joel Wallenstrom told Gizmodo that the company is currently developing a product that would be able to retain some messages for pending litigation, a change that it's intended to placate executives like Dara who are worried that their company's use of encryption will be viewed as nefarious by courts and regulators. Well, I personally think that goes without saying. If you're using apps and stuff to share information with the sole purpose of that information deleted immediately, yes, that is nefarious in nature. You don't want people to find out what you're talking about. That's why you're using the services. That seems pretty obvious to me. So, yeah, these apps are probably going to have to start developing safeguards where, like, you know what, this information is kept for a certain number of for a certain period of time, so that should a lawsuit come out, it can't truly be gone. We can still look at it because criminals can use Wicker for Pete's sakes and cover things up. Um, quote, I would go to them and say, we have a really cool way to minimize data. They would get tripped up in the optics rather than practicalities. Um, there was a moment when I paused and said, wow, this community sees things differently than the information security community. I think it's important, really important, that people see the contradiction between yelling and screaming and stomping their feet about how bad Equifax is at protecting our data. And then when someone uses a smart approach to data minimization to protect data, they're skewered for that. Which one is it? Sorry. Oh, sorry. It begs a question, he said. Which one is it you're going to fire me for today? Um, well, that in my opinion is kind of unfair. That is a very unfair question because here's the thing. Doesn't it's not the method that they're complaining about. It's what the method is being used for. Like yeah, if you're using Wicker because you need to send someone for example, warning message that something is coming your way and you want it to be deleted right away so that no one else finds out about it, that's fine. But if you're using it to deliberately do monopolistic practices, well, maybe that's not so legal. And let's see here. We have a lot more. We have a whole third section of this. And I'm feeling a little burnt out, to be honest. So we're going to finish the article later, maybe even tonight. Who knows? We'll have to see on that. But yeah, does anyone have any comments about this so far? What do you guys think about Uber's security system and their methods? Make you feel uncomfortable? Maybe. I would love to know. And I'm still live at the moment. So if you want to discuss them now, now's your chance. Otherwise, we'll end this live stream, and I'll probably do the third part tomorrow because we got to go to like collision shops to find out how much it's going to cost to fix a bumper. So, anyway, anyone Gary M says flame on. I appreciate the Fantastic Four reference. Not sure what I'm supposed to do with it in the context of this right now, but appreciate that. By the way, on a side note, what does everyone think about the Disney buying 20th Century Fox? I don't know. That bothers me. That pretty much means that the amount of companies that own all the media is going to go from 5 to 4. I do not like that idea at all. But whatever. So okay. So no one seems to oh yeah. She's not here yet, Dad. So when she gets home from work, we'll go. I'm actually going to take her to that place where I had to take my car to get investigated. They're going to give us a free estimate, and then we're going to take them to a couple more places. Then we're going to call the insurance companies again. But doesn't look like anyone really has any more comments on this particular topic. So thanks for sticking out with me, guys. We're going to finish this probably tomorrow morning. I might do one more live stream tonight to talk about that Uber passenger who was charged $21,000 for an Uber trip, because that seems like it'd make for a fun discussion. But until then, like, favorite, share, subscribe, and as always, flame responsibly. Have a good one.